Welcome to On the Edge. Today we have a very special guest joining us. He's a rising star in the world of adult entertainment who began his journey from a small town in Michigan, balancing his life between working for his father's company and building an OnlyFans presence. Now, at just 20 years old, he's made a name for himself as a model and performer, pushing boundaries and chasing his dreams. From overcoming challenges to signing with major agencies, he's proof that hard work and ambition can take you far. Please welcome to On the Edge, the esteemed Dex Devall. Welcome to the program, sir. How are you today?
Hi, good. Thank you so much for having me.
Of course, we're glad to have you. Let me just get rid of that part. All right. Well, welcome. All right, so you started all of this journey when you were 18 years old, and I think it wasn't it on your 18th birthday that you decided to create an OnlyFans account?
Yeah, I was counting down the days.
Really?
Literally, I was like, okay, today's the day. It's my birthday. I was like,
What drew you to OnlyFans? Like, did you hear from friends, or what made you decide that path initially?
um, I've always seen like just like hot guys on Insta. So I'm like, oh, that looks so fun. And I'm like, maybe I could just like be hot and like be sexy and take pictures and like be able to do that as a living or whatever somehow, some way. And I was like, just started taking small steps towards it, and I was like, I guess OnlyFans could be a way. And then I just started.
That's amazing. So, when you started this, did you like, as I said in my intro, you were working for your dad at the same time.
Mhm.
Um, was this something that you were like, told your family, like, hey, I know I'm working over here, but I'm going to start this over here? Or was this just something you wanted to try out and see how it goes first?
Yeah, at first I mean, yeah, just try, and it was just like a slow start because I was like posting not a lot as I should. And at first I didn't tell anyone except my best friend because like I was out and stuff. I came out in middle school, but my dad was definitely a little. He's like, "Oh yeah, I love my son, but we're just not going to talk about it." He's kind of that one.
I understand that. I kind of grew up in that era, like a long time earlier than you, but it was we had the you understood, like you just don't talk about it
Right.
situation. So I get that. I totally get that. Now, I read in your bio that you grew up in a smaller town in Michigan.
Mhm.
Did you have a lot of exposure or any type of guidance as a young twink before you turned 18 and moved on into your adulthood of life?
Before I was 18, I guess there wasn't really many. I guess no. I remember thinking like, because you always look up to your like father or whatever, like when you're growing up as a parent figure, and I'm like, I remember thinking to myself, I'm like, I feel like the person I'm looking up to right now is myself. I was like, that's just so. I was like, I don't know. It's just I didn't. It was such a small area and whatever. I'm like, but I'm gonna do it. Like nothing can stop me, for real. That's just.
That's amazing. Yeah, sometimes, especially, I'm too from a very small town. And I actually left home at 15. I was like, peace out, this ain't for
Yeah.
me.
Right.
So I get that scenario where you're not, you don't really have that community built in already for, especially for queer people, young queer people. And I know that specifically throughout the Midwest, that's still kind of an issue for the next generation. And it is through platforms like mine and my company and other queer media outlet that they're able to see that there's a world outside of a small community that they grew up in.
Hmm.
Now, I also believe I read in your bio that like by like 19, you were really kind of finally hitting your stride with OnlyFans, and then pivoting into more photography, modeling, video within some of the studio elements. So tell me about that pivot from just being this cute little twink on OnlyFans, making little, dances and things. Wait, TikTok, wrong platform. Anyhow, to into studio systems. How
Uh-huh.
was that transition? How did they find you? How did you get involved? Were you scared? Tell me about it.
Well, I guess at first I thought I was just going to be doing OnlyFans, but then like I was just posting really on and off, and I was like, I knew that I wanted to do it, and I was like still working for my dad, and I was like, oh, if I show someone my like Twitter page right now, I'm like, would I be proud of it? I'm like, probably not. I'm like, so I knew right then and there, I'm like, let's work on this. Like, I want to be proud of this. Like, I want it to be something that is amazing. And so I just started posting more and just getting like more engagement with posting more consistently. I would post like in the morning and then go to work for my dad and I just like forget about it. But and then one day, one post like just had blown up a little bit more, and then I like saw it and I was like, oh my gosh, amazing. And I think from that picture, it like just gave me a lot of motivation to continue posting and continue doing that and just growing a platform that like people love to see you on. And then I was contacted by an agency, and I was like, I never thought of doing studio work, but maybe like I feel like it'll help in some way because just to get your name out there more and become more of like a porn star instead of just an OnlyFans creator. It's like I guess same field, just a little pivot. But I definitely was really scared. It was like I remember signing that contract and I'm like, okay, we're really gonna do it now. I was like, that means we're gonna be on set maybe like soon. You know, I was still like getting that through my head, like the nervousness. And I remember I like love seeing concerts and stuff. Music is like a big thing for me to feel confident. And so I saw Beyonce like a month before I like signed with them or whatever, to do the agency for them to help me find a booking for my first shoot. And I was like, okay, what would Beyonce do? I was just like keeping her as my inspiration as well. And from then on, I like it was a dry month, didn't hear anything. I was like, okay, my nerves are calmed. I'm like, are we really doing this? It's signed, but so then I finally remember I was on a gutter job, and I like remember exactly what gutter job it is and everything. But I got a text, and it was my first interview to do, and I was like, even still a little nervous for that. I'm like, oh my goodness. So I set up my little lights and did it, and then they're like, amazing, let's fly you out next week. I was like, okay, that's quick, but okay. And I was still nervous, but I remember I was like, okay, I just go do it. Like, it's basically like a grinder hookup, I feel like. It's like you go to someone's house, you know, and you're like, oh, the opening the door thing or whatever. I'm like, okay, just got to meet these people. But everyone was like so nice, so sweet, and even on the interview, it was just very friendly.
That's, something that I often talk about on my show here is there's kind of a misconception about the adult entertainment industry, right? I mean, rightly so in some sense with like some of the past allegations and things that have happened throughout time. But in reality, pretty much every person I have ever met that has worked within the adult entertainment industry have been like the nicest, coolest people ever,
Exactly.
ever.
Yeah.
And they're also kind of protective of one another, which I thought was such a beautiful thing. And, I think it comes from being kind of I don't want to say subset culture, but in reality, it was born out of that.
Right.
So, did you find anybody within your first like experiences that you kind of felt like, okay, I am going to be okay. I am going to be protected. This is my person that'll kind of look after me. Did you ever find that in your experience starting out?
Well, on my first shoot, it was like felt like a dream come true. It was like after being on set the first time and like the cameras and like the people around you while you're like naked and whatnot, and I'm like just getting over the fact of that the first basis. I'm like, okay, this is good, and now like the meeting people and everything, they're like with them being so sweet. I did meet someone who has definitely helped me a lot. It was Eddie Patrick, who you may know. Yeah, we film together a lot, and we're just really good buddies. He like texted me like for a long time after my first shoot, like almost every day, and then just like showed me the ropes kind of, and like took me in. But as well as me signing exclusive, I also had like the whole company as like my family to help out. But I like knew I had like a good friend in Eddie.
No, you're fortunate in that. Like, that's really great. You had someone. Now, when you first started out, did they kind of start you out like behind the scenes, like working production, so you understood the system and the procedures in place? Or they just throw you right on camera and said, let's go, buddy?
I was actually right on camera. Yeah, I was like, they booked me for the shoot, so like they knew I'd not done a shoot before, which is like sometimes we work with new people as well, and they're very nice and like just so nice, and I can see that they like make everything comfortable for the models to do like their first experience and have it like be something fun that they can like look back on and be like, oh my gosh, my first shoot. Um, but yeah, I wasn't nervous at all. It was just like it was like first day of school jitters, like first time on set, you know. But now it's like fun, and I'm like, I love being on set and being in front of camera. It's amazing.
That's awesome. So I also read that you really you had an encounter where you went to Canada and you went to like your first like gay bar slash drag queen show,
Hmm.
and it really was kind of eye opening to you as well as like enlightening. And what was that experience? What made the light bulb go off and say, this is what I want to go towards? What helped you with that?
I think it was just like wanting to explore more, like being from my small town. I was like very nervous to even go to like Canada and like have that gay experience, but um, I had met this friend that I was meeting up with there, who had showed me around town and was super sweet and like helped me with all my first gay experiences. But it was like just the nervousness of traveling, I think, as well at the beginning. I'm like, okay, I'm in a new town. I'm like in a big city. I've never been in a big city. That like now I'm able to see like drag queens and stuff because I'm grown up now. Um, because yeah, like in my small town, there was like I had my girl straight besties, and I loved them to death. But it's nothing. It's not a gay experience, you know. Yeah, but it was like, oh yeah, this is like, the world is out here, you know? There's like actually something to look and see and do.
I fully can relate with it, leaving home at 15, realizing, oh crap, there's a whole universe out here that's not
Mhm.
just my hometown,
Right.
you know, which is awesome. Through that time, before you kind of really hit it big, did you have any mentors that you kind of took from that?
Um, just like being from my small town, like getting collabs for OnlyFans was like, oh, let me drive an hour and a half to meet up with this guy, you know? It's like insane. But I definitely did meet a sweet guy who was like, yeah, just be you. Like, they're gonna love you. You're gonna be like so confident and everything. And he was definitely like a nice help in the beginning as well as like giving me tips and just being nice and a nice friend that's around.
That's awesome. I'm glad you had that. The
Hmm.
Now I know you've literally been in this. Let's see, you're 20 now, right? So,
Yeah.
I
Totally.
mean, that's only a couple years within the industry, and you've already kind of made a name for yourself. Um, have you had any experiences with like dating, and within that time period, and has that been a positive or negative, or you may not have at all?
I've had like talking stages, yeah, but I think with me being so young, I'm just still looking, you know.
That's right. You are
Yeah,
still young. You have a long time to go. Trust me.
very long.
I tell people, young people all the time, I'm like, your 20s is when you should be working your butt off,
Mhm.
literally. Like, don't worry if somebody doesn't like you. Don't worry if you don't get to date. Work your butt off because by the time you're 30, you'll at least have some solid ground to stand on because 30s are where you can blossom as a human, right? So I think you're doing a really good job with that.
Thank you.
Um, so you started with OnlyFans. Your OnlyFans is still rocking and rolling, doing great. Um, have you found it to be financially beneficial for you by pivoting to studios, or would you say OnlyFans is better for you, or the combination of the both?
Um, it was definitely like a growing point, like entering studio work and then like having friends who knew more about it, like, and were able to give me tips as well as like learning how to pose better and like make better posts as well. Um, I think it was they did go hand in hand, but it's not needed. I don't feel like you need to do studio work to like amplify your OnlyFans, but I feel like it definitely does in some sort of way. But as long as like as well as with like growing and learning how to create content and do it in a way that like you can promote better and is like hotter and everything and you're more proud of. It's just like a learning journey as well as growing up. I feel like I'm doing it both. I'm like entering my career and growing at the same time.
And in such a public fashion, right? You really are exposing yourself publicly on everything you do. Was that something you always kind of liked? Do you like being watched? Do you like that voyeurism? Was that something that kind of drives you, or was it the intimacy? Was it the performance aspect?
I think it was kind of both because I like when I was younger, I really loved creating content and like I would make little YouTube videos of like gaming and stuff. I was like, oh, I just want to like make videos and post them and like be a content creator of some sort and whatnot. And that going with it. Sorry, what was the question again? That text kind of
Oh, that's okay. It happens all the time.
in the middle
What
of this.
what was it the aspect of being watched that really kind of made you sizzle and pop, or was it more like you enjoy performing that makes you sizzle
Okay,
and
yeah.
pop?
Well, I was also a cheerleader when I was younger, so I like, um, I do love performing, like being on stage in some sort of way, even though it's not in front of a bunch of people, like a live audience. I feel like that is just like so motivating to me to like be able to perform and then also be like, oh, I'm also being like a model and following my dreams and like being a content creator. So I feel like it's definitely both.
So with being a model and a content creator and a performer, and I know you're young, so you may not have this answer yet, but what is your dream in the next, when you hit 25? Where do you want to be at 25?
Um, I, I've really been just taking it day by day that I'm maybe by 25, I was thinking like I love the way that I can like post a video and make money while I sleep. So I'm like amazing. I'm like, okay, let's start investing. Let's start doing something that you can grow that sort of stream of income. But I think I maybe want to like go into some sort of like director role possibly by starting a website or doing something of my own in the future.
That's good. At least you have something of a plan and a path to follow. Because that does make me think a lot. I think when I was your age, in the late 1900s, like I've changed drastically since I was a little twink at 20, right?
Right.
And now at 50, I kind of go, ugh, this old saggy twink here. Nobody wants this. So you do have to make plans to move forward with new ventures for yourself
Right.
that will. And I love that you said that you're investing because I do tell the next generation all the time, investment was like one of my saving graces. And I'm glad and proud that you're doing that. I think the next generation has a lot more grasp on it than my generation did growing up. So that's a really big accolade to you. So, through your short time period so far, who
Yeah.
has, like, maybe not who, what has been your, let's say, I want to know what I call your peak and your pit. And the peak being, what has been your favorite element, whether that be a scene, whether that be an experience, whether that be meeting somebody you never knew before. And then when I mean pit, what has been something you walked into and you went, maybe not.
Um, so you asked me the peak and pit, yeah?
Yeah, so let's start with the peak.
Okay, so I feel like just like the magical feeling of like me first starting, it like really did feel like a dream come true because the week before my shoot, I quit working for my dad because I'm like, okay, I want to do this full time. And I know I definitely don't want to do construction the rest of my life. And I'm like, let's just take this leap and do it. And so I just did it. But I think the peak is like the beginning magical part, like after the interviews and going there and like meeting everyone and then just getting signed and then like just continuing to work. And then like literally the next week after my shoot, I went somewhere else. And so it did, and like it was a place that I'd never been. It was like Palm Springs. So I think like also being able to travel like outside of my small town and go to places that I've never been, just the magical feeling of like my dreams are really coming true. Um, but then the pit, I guess like um, I don't really like sucking dick that much. So anytime I'm on set and I'm like, they really want me to suck dick, I'm like, oh, it's not my favorite, but I'm doing it. I'm doing it, and I'm gonna make it look like I enjoy it because I do sometimes, but it's not my favorite.
So let's not book you for a big bukkake scene, right?
No, no. But I was like a cum dump slut. I got a bunch.
Yes, exactly. Um, you know, with your generation and starting on OnlyFans, moving into studio systems, I see a lot on the social medias with they start out as I call them. They're kind of like podcasts, and like I'm thinking of one specifically called the Wild Boys, right? And they started out like as these two best friends that just kind of talk shit with each other. They're straight, ha ha ha. Then they start doing a little bit of slap and tickle gay shit, ha ha ha. And it's kind of like they're like dabbling and touching their foot into like homosexuality, and now they're full on dating. So is this like the new norm? Like what's going on with your generation? It's like maybe it's like a start of like, oh, well, I'm not gay, but only gay for pay. But then all of a sudden it evolves into now, at least the boys on Wild Boys are legitimately dating now.
Maybe it's just like honestly, even for me, like growing up, my dad was always like taught me that gay was bad, you know. So I'm like, that's what I thought, and I'm like even saying that myself. I'm like, I had to when I was like growing up like 9, 10, I was like I had to say it alone in my room. So I feel like maybe they just are grown up and like thought that gay is bad, so they're like they secretly want it, but it's bad. But then they'll still do it. That's what I get.
I just as a
Just think for yourself and like, that's what I do.
as a person who's a elder Gen Xer, I look at him like, oh, honeys, just go for it. You're going to be
Right.
okay. It's totally
Exactly.
fine.
It'll be okay.
Right? I mean, it's totally good. And then I see, gay baiting has just become so big on the social media sphere that
Hmm.
now I even see like real butch big men that have been straight forever are like now totally entertaining. For me, as a gay person growing up in the 1900s, I look at this as like something fabulous. Like, oh my
Hmm.
God, people are finally coming into not just like, I want to transition everybody to being gay. No, that's not it. It's just like, we're all humans and we all kind of have desires and needs and functions that like society said we shouldn't do, but our bodies do. Right? So I'm curious how that's going to evolve in the future. But I'm also curious how AI is going to help with the adult industry in the future. What are your thoughts on AI coming into the everything of life?
Well, I use AI a little bit actually. Sometimes like you can trick it into writing like scripts for you because I am trying to get more creative on OnlyFans and sometimes do like a little bit of acting in it and like little scenes and
Nice.
it makes it really fun and it's just like easy. It gives you ideas that you don't even think of, but I feel like it definitely needs to be controlled. It can't get outgrown and be too much. As well as like fake AI like boyfriends or whatever. Like if it's like imitating a model, like that's good. But if it's like someone that's fake, I'm like, how am I competing with someone that has a six pack of abs that like I'm over here working out and they can just type on the computer, you know? You know.
I've always had that feel. I'm always like, I've never been a ripped muscle stub, but now I don't. My age, I'm like, don't care.
Right.
So funny. So funny where we all go and end up in life. I did speak with a friend of yours, Legrand, on another episode, and he was talking about how much he enjoyed working with you and how you guys have been very successful with your different programming that he does for his variety of studios. Um, What's next for you? What's coming up within the next 6 months of your life? Do you have any plans for the holidays? What's happening for 2025 for you?
Well, I actually just got back today from filming Gay Cest, so that'll be coming out soon. But I think they're having me on some other new sites as well as doing more updates on sites that I've been on, possibly Fun Size Boys and other stuff. I still have to hear back my schedule, but definitely always posting content on my OnlyFans and whatnot. But
That's
coming
awesome.
into more professional studio scenes soon.
Yeah. So the holidays, anything special?
Um, Mostly maybe just visiting my family. I see them like every couple months now since I moved out, but yeah, just visiting them, and I might see them a couple of times because I've not seen them in a while.
Aw, that's
So
awesome. Well,
back and
I
forth,
cannot thank you enough for taking a hot moment this morning and chatting with me on this
of course.
subject. So I really, really appreciate your time. Audience, please be sure and check out Dex's, all his social media platforms are there on the screen for you. Check out his OnlyFans. That's amazing for you. Yeah, I appreciate you. And I'm going to have you back on. I'm going to follow your career. I know you're new into it, so I want to see where this all goes.
Yeah, me too. Can't wait.
Thanks so much. Have an awesome day.
Thank you, you too.
And for you, my wonderful guests, please, please, if you're following us on YouTube, subscribe to our channel, click the bell so you're always notified when On the Edge is coming on, as well as you can check out all our social media handles at edgemedianetwork.com. And for daily queer news and entertainment stories, come to our website at edgemedianetwork.com. We'll see you next time on The Edge.